Hey everybody, welcome to Plant-Based TourGuide podcast with your host, Mike Knight. It doesn't matter if you're just gathering information about getting plant-based or you've been plant-based for years or somewhere in between. This show is for you. So get ready for Mike's high-energy show fueled by his passion for bringing information, education, and motivation about all things in the plant-based life. So let's get today's show started.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Plant-Based Tour Guide. I'm your host, Mike Knight, and I hope you are having a phenomenal day. Thank you so much for listening in. I got a great one today. Very detailed. A lot of information. So that's what you get from my guest today, Vince Rountree. Somebody that, I know a lot of you out there have already heard his name and seen a lot of what he's doing right now. And for those of you that haven't, it'll be a great treat to get to know Vince and what he brings to the table. He brings everything you got to understand from the mindset. He's a chemical engineer, okay, by trade. And so take a chemical engineer and then give him, hey, here's the story. Look, myself included, a lot of you out there, people I've had on the show that go into the doctor. Doctor says, hey, your blood pressure is up, your cholesterol is up, let's throw you on a whole bunch of medicine. And he's sitting there thinking to himself, he goes, a lot of my relatives, had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and heart attacks followed a lot of them. He goes, you know what? I'm going to do what I know how to do best, which is investigate, educate myself, and get to the bottom of this and find out what I can do. And so, you know how that ends. He went plant-based. And so he's going to get into that, get into his journey, and then, what happened, how he did it. And then he's also got, some things about, some productions he's doing now that'll be useful to you that you're going to hear about, a video series he's got coming out. And there's another spoiler coming, but I'm not going to spoil it. But I'm going to tell you there's a freebie he's got for you as well. So something great he's got for you that you'll hear about that in the show. Thanks so much again for tuning in. Thanks for helping spread the word. And without further ado, please welcome Vince Rountree.
And I just got, what happened with me is that after I got my results and they were so dramatic, people started asking me questions that I couldn't answer. And that's what I hated, And it feeds into what my natural curiosity is I want to keep learning. Well, why is that? Well, what's the mechanism behind that? And how does that work? And that's just who I am, right? I mean, I'm a chemical engineer because of that, right? I mean, I want to understand how and why and how. And just so I want to be able to answer people's questions. And so then that led me down getting all of these different certifications and just learning more. And I literally travel the country to different medical conferences where I get the latest science on how medical professionals can use plant-based nutrition in their healthcare practices. And I just love learning it, man. And I love sharing the best of the knowledge with my clients because I know that this stuff really works. And so I just want to have the best available information to share with people because there's so much misinformation, some of it intentional, some of it not, but still it's important for me to kind of stay on the cutting edge of the latest of the late of information in this field.
Oh, very nice. Well, if you don't mind, then let's kind of start from the beginning then. Again, I've read up on it and heard, but I mean, if you would share your story, kind of like you alluded to, like your same thing I told you I have, your doctor story of kind of going in and quote, the shock and then kind of what you did.
Yeah. So in 2011, I went in for a regular physical checkup, and years before physicals were always piece of cake. Everything's good. See you next year. But in 2011, that wasn't the case. It was, everything is good except, and the idea of just taking a pill every day for the rest of my life just didn't set well for me. I didn't want to do that for a couple of reasons. The first is it just seemed like something that was not natural. But secondly, I had seen my grandmother have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. She went on medication, and then she died of a heart attack. And then I had seen my uncles, one in particular, had high blood pressure, high cholesterol. He went on medication. He died of a heart attack. So now I'm like, okay, so it's my turn. I've got high blood pressure. I've got high cholesterol. And doctor says, take pills. I'm like, well, I kind of see where this movie is probably going to end.
Yeah, the spoiler alert.
I don't want to go down that path. I think, is there anything else I can do? And his answer to me was, well, it runs in your family, so there's not much you can do. And he was right. It did run in my family, but I wasn't accepting the fact that there was not much I can do. So I came home and started looking. This was in 2011. And oddly enough, I stumbled on Dr. Esselstyn's research on reversing heart disease with plant-based nutrition. And it was literally a life-changing study. Literally everybody that he put on plant-based nutrition got better. All of them. And for a great number of them, their conditions actually reversed. Now, nobody thought reversal was even possible. When Esselstyn started his study, they thought at best we can stop the progression. Heart disease is actually a disease of the arteries. And those arteries, once they start clogging up, that's called atherosclerosis. Once that process starts, it typically gets worse until that artery ruptures. Now you got a heart attack and you're dead. And so at best, what they hoped to do was to stop the progress of the atherosclerosis. Mm-hmm. But in fact, what they found out is not only could they stop the progress, they could actually reverse the atherosclerosis. They were shocked by that. Nobody thought that was possible. Mm-hmm. So 2011, I saw that and I'm like, well, if it can do that, it should be able to lower my cholesterol and blood pressure. Let's see what happens. And I went all in. I've got an engineering background. If you're going to conduct a study, conduct a study. Don't conduct a study on plant-based nutrition and say, yeah, but it's okay if I just have one little ice cream. But it's just okay if I have one little chicken wing. No, it's not okay. If you're conducting a true study, then conduct a true study. And that's what I did. I went 100% with zero exceptions. You hear me? Zero exceptions. And in 6 weeks, my total cholesterol dropped over 100 points.
Wow.
It went from 240 down to 132. That no exceptions thing can be really, really powerful when you eat. I ate what they said, eat oatmeal and rice and potatoes and vegetables and fruits and lentils and, oatmeal, just all of the plant-based stuff, corn, my breakfast right now, I got some cantaloupes here. That's what I eat. And so that's what I did. And the results were dramatic. My cholesterol dropped from 240 to 132. My blood pressure dropped over 30 points and I lost 20 pounds.
Wow.
When my doctor called with the results, he said, Vince, I've got your results and I got to tell you something. You need to be retested. Why do I got to get retested? He said, because I had you at 240. Now you're reading at 132. That can't be right. Like that. Nobody does that. Like one of these tests is not right. I said, yeah, doc, you really need to understand the power of plant-based nutrition because that's what I've done. And of course, he didn't know what that was. He just said, obviously keep doing whatever you're doing. Yep. So that was the turning point in my life. And, it was funny. People at work, I had a couple of guys at work that laughed at me like crazy when, the first company luncheon, I tried to fly under the radar, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to tell anybody about this. I'm just going to make the change myself. Well, that doesn't work when you work for a company and you have company lunches and stuff. And I was known as the guy that could eat like crazy. So first company lunch, they had lasagna. Oh my God. Jiminy crickets. So they had like this side salad in this big pan of cheesy, meaty, layer after layer after layer lasagna. And I walk up there with a plate and I just load it up with salad and sit down. And now how in the world can you fly under the radar and you got a plate of salad and everybody, Vince, what are you doing? I said, well, I came across some information on plant-based nutrition and I'm trying this and because I think it may impact my cholesterol. Get out of here. It ain't gonna work. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I said, you're probably right, but I'm just gonna try it and see what happens. And when the results came back, they were all blown away. They were like, this can't be possible. And literally everybody in the room that was laughing at me, they were all on cholesterol pills. So, one of the guys ended up saying, hey, can you work with me? Because I would really rather come off these pills. And before I even realized it, I started, getting results for people very, very early on. And then he started asking me questions that I couldn't answer. And so then that just started this, okay, so where do I learn more about this plant-based nutrition? Where do I learn more about about coaching people? And so then I just started looking for ways to educate myself so that I would know everything that I could about the subject.
That is awesome. All right. So you went there and so you saw like you said, the turning point for you and you kind of, same thing funny happened to me. My doctor, mine was, I came back in a year later. Same thing. He came in. I was like you. I mean, I worked out all the time, always had good stuff. And then I go in and he says, hey, you got high cholesterol, elevated on a scale of 1 to 5. It was a Berkeley test. They called it at the time. I said, you're about a 2. He goes, let's go ahead and put you on this thing called Lipitor. So I started reading up and I was like, well, I might as well go ahead and sign up for a liver transplant as well while I'm at it. I was like, I was like, I do not feel, and I'm like you, I don't like having a lot of, drugs and stuff like that and taking pills. I said, all right, I did the same thing. And I went plant-based and then I go in the next year and literally he comes in and he's like, because he's a great guy. He's so rushed, which is, of course, as you and I know, that's a whole other topic, our healthcare system now. Yeah. And it demanded of them, not even their fault. And he's sitting there looking and he's looking and he goes, hey, well, I see you never got the prescription. And I didn't answer. He keeps reading and he goes, wait, what'd you do? What did you do? And I was like, what? And kind of like you, he goes, and I told him, I said, well, I went plant-based. I said, I read up, studied on it. So I went to a plant-based, vegan, diet. He goes, it worked. He goes, whatever you did, don't stop doing it. He goes, your blood work is almost perfect. He goes, it's reversed from what it was when I saw you last year. So kind of, similar story of yours. And so then I went out on my mission. And so I know, like you said, you started talking to some people and all, but I know now you have really educated yourself and elevated that. So kind of, where you're speaking on now, where did that come from? I guess how did that evolve for you? Because I know, again, you just recently spoke. I saw some things. So I started a video series, but where did all this start for you now? What was that why and the trigger and how did that start?
Well, I want to get the message out to as many people as possible. The thing that just burns inside my gut that won't let me rest is the fact that there's I think statistics is something like 800,000 people a year in this country die of heart disease. It's like there's a death every 40 seconds in this country.
Good gosh.
I mean, it's literally over 1,000 deaths a day from heart disease. And what bothers me is so many of those deaths could be saved if they ate plant-based nutrition. And the world needs to know that. Like the world needs to know that. And unfortunately, doctors are not trained on how to use nutrition to reverse chronic disease. That's my problem. If you look in the US, if you're over 40 or 50, the odds are you either have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or maybe elevated glucose levels, or you probably got some weight to lose. Between those four, if you're over 40 years old, you probably have at least one. Mm-hmm. You're doing good if you've only got one. And we know plant-based nutrition can reverse all of them. All of them. I mean, so my driving force is to share this with as many people as possible. And so my first level of education in this field was to get certified through Cornell's. T. Colin Campbell has a program you're probably familiar with through Cornell. So that was the first certification that I got. And then PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, Dr. Neil Barnard runs that. It's out of Washington, D.C. He's got a program called Food for Life. And the Food for Life program it's a program where you can get certified as an instructor, and then you can lead programs in your area that teach people how to how to treat or deal with people who have cancers or diabetes or proper nutrition. And so there's a series of classes that you are certified to teach through PCRM. And so I got certified there. And then Esselstyn actually had a program through Cleveland Clinic that you could learn, and so I went through an online certification through there. Then I wanted to learn how to teach people better. So I went to Emory and got trained as a health coach that focused more on behavior change, how to get people to change their actual behaviors. And so I got certified there as well, because again, I just wanted to, I want to be able to help people,
So apparently focus and due diligence, that's not a strong suit of yours, is it? I mean, wow, that's impressive. I mean, to go through those links to do that. So you did that. When you start working with people, even out of the gate, I mean, what are some initial things and people listening, that you would say, hey, change, kind of what I mean, types of foods. I mean, like, should they look at the fat content or anything like that? Or,
as far as what to eat is concerned, nature is incredible. Nature has done all the work for you. We try to complicate it and what are your macros and how many carbs you consuming and protein and the fat and then what. Okay, just forget all of that. Forget all of that. If you eat fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, lentils, split peas, chickpeas, legumes, eat foods, those are plant-based foods with minimal processing. And the rest takes care of itself. The rest takes care of itself. If you're eating sweet potatoes, or you're eating rice and beans, or you're eating a lentil soup, or you're eating oatmeal, or you're eating fruit for breakfast, everything takes care of itself. So for some people that think, well, I can't make that big of a change. Well, you can. If your life depended on you, could you do it?
Yes.
And the answer is, for most people, your life really does depend on it. Mm-hmm. So yes, you can. But if you trick yourself and you don't think that you can, what can you do? Well, the first thing you can start off with is the easy thing to do for starters is go to your local grocery store. Does not have to be, one of these high-end fancy, stores. just your regular, where I live, Publix is very common. Kroger's are very common. In the North, I know ShopRite's are very common. Go to your standard grocery store. It could be your Walmart grocer or the Target that's got the grocery store. And just get some fruit. Get some cantaloupes. Get some honeydew melon. Get some oranges. Get some berries. And then when you wake up in the morning, and if you ever get melon, here's a big point. If you ever get melon, cut it up as soon as you get home.
Oh, okay.
When it's cut in a bowl in the refrigerator and you're looking for a snack and you can reach out in this bowl and you've got cut fruit that's ready to go, then you'll eat it. If it's not cut, and you look in the refrigerator, you don't see anything. Now, if you've got some potato chips or you got some candy bars, now that's more convenient than the fruit. So always cut your melons immediately, then you'll consume them. Also, it's good to have some fruit that you don't have to cut, like berries, like oranges, like pears, like peaches, like plums. Have some of that available as well. And then for your breakfast, this may sound like a lot for some, but I normally have an entire cantaloupe as my breakfast.
Wow, okay.
An entire cantaloupe. And it tastes great. And it is so nutritious. And it's refreshing. That and a bunch of water. Try to consume.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. When you're consuming water and you're eating fruits, you're giving your body the nutrients that it needs, and something else is happening without you realizing it, and that is you're consuming way less calories than almost anything that you can imagine. There's the reason why Americans are so overweight, and it's something like over 75% of Americans are overweight now. That means that 3 out of 4, most people you run into are overweight. That's not an issue based on the people. That means we have a systemic problem, right? I don't blame the person. I don't look at somebody overweight and say, you have lived your life in a terrible way. Just the opposite. You have been preyed upon by the food industry all of your freaking life, and they have hijacked your taste buds, and you've got to feel like you've got to get that pleasure. Foods are designed to give pleasures to the brain that you feel like you need to go back and get that every time. Mm-hmm. And so by consuming foods that nature meant for you to have, you can kind of reset your taste buds, and that's what fruit is doing for you. You see, because your body was meant to consume this, and you end up consuming way less calories because this concept called calorie density. Calorie density is the number of calories per pound of food. Okay. And if the calories per pound of food is low, then you'll get full long before you've taken too many calories. Now let's look at the other end of the extreme for calorie density. One of the most harmful things are snacks like salty snacks like potato chips or like onion rings or corn chips and things like. They taste great. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They are amazing. Yes, they are. Doritos and Tostitos. But if you look at the calories per pound on those snack foods, it's like 15 to 20 times higher than what you get in fruits. Wow. 15 to 20 times higher. In my weight loss teaching, I have a picture of a little bag of Doritos that fits in my hand. Uh-huh. I think it's an ounce, 1.8 ounces of it. It fits, little bag fits in my hand. Normal people can eat like 3, 4, 5 of those with no problem. And I look at that little bag of Doritos and you say, to get this same amount of calories in a cantaloupe, you've got to eat 2.5 cantaloupes. Oh, wow. 2.5. Why? The calorie density is like 20 times more. You see, not only does this little bag have calories, but you don't get full. So you can eat another one. So you can eat another one. So you can eat another. And before you realize it, you've consumed 1,000 calories. Compared to, I can eat an entire cantaloupe, and that's probably 300-400 calories. And it's got more nutrients. So it's nutrient dense and very low in calorie density. So I'm getting tons of things that my body needs, and I'm losing weight at the same time. That's why when you go plant-based, weight loss is a piece of cake, because you stay full, your body is nourished, you're not starving, you're not depriving yourself, and the food tastes good, and you're losing weight because you're consuming less calories, because the calories per pound is a lot less.
Yep. It's wild you say that, because that's happened to me when I went. I lost, I think, like 12 or 14 pounds right at the beginning, and I wasn't even trying. That was, again, probably, maybe even like you, that wasn't even part of the reason was health. All right, let's switch for health. And all of a sudden I was like, I remember just sitting there one time and I was like, I'd lost the weight, and all of a sudden I was like, my pants, I'm like, what is going on around here? Because I don't even have a scale in the house. I'm just not one of those people, I don't even, quote, measure weight. And I just remember thinking that. And then I went up, I forgot, I went somewhere and I realized that I weighed, so I think at the gym, and I was like, oh my gosh, I lost a lot of weight. And it was wild though, because all my working out, everything was the same as far as strength level. So no strength had been lost. Literally, just kind of to your point, just the weight shedding, the fat unnecessary that I didn't need shed. Yeah. Well, all right. So I love that. And I love hitting that point home, because a lot of people don't get that, and I'm glad everyone got to hear that. About a lot of times, it's because a lot of people that we're trained to think, well, a bigger plate of food will do, quote, more damage to us than smaller, kind of like you said, but it's not. It's kind of, again, like you said, it's more that caloric density and really thinking about what you're eating. So I love you brought that up. Well, I know you've also now, correct me if I'm wrong, started kind of like a video series as well. Have you you want to tell people a little bit about that? Because I'm sure I've watched one, and so I'm definitely going to post a link to it in the show notes and all like that. But kind of what is your mission behind that as well?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get the message to as many people as possible. So I try to keep producing videos, and this is the area that I'm trying to do a better job of, is telling stories that people will get. One of the stories that we have told ourselves over the years is that, well, if I've got high blood pressure, if I've got high cholesterol, then I'll just take a pill and I'll be okay. That's the way to go. And there certainly is a time when medication can be life-saving. That's true. But there are some things that's really important to understand if you're taking medication. And this is why I wanted to produce some videos, because I wanted people to understand that if you've got these types of issues, that the pills don't treat the cause. At best, they treat the symptoms. If we look at high blood pressure, what makes your blood pressure high? Well, there's a couple of physical things. If you can imagine your circulatory system as blood flowing through veins and arteries that kind of makes a loop and goes all around and comes back. So if we can just try to simplify it and imagine it as blood going through a hose, right? Going through a tube. Okay. So the amount of pressure that it takes to push that blood through that tube, the higher the pressure it takes to push it through, the higher your blood pressure. Okay, so there's some physical things that will affect that. The first is, well, how thick is your blood? Which gets to what we call in chemistry viscosity. Viscosity is resistance to flow. So imagine your blood being either like molasses, something that when you go to pour it, it's really thick and it pours very slowly. Mm-hmm. Or imagine your blood flowing like water. And you pour the glass up and the water comes out really, really quickly. Well, if your blood is more like molasses, then the pressure that your heart has to exert in order to push it through your arteries is going to be a lot higher than if your blood flows like water. Mm-hmm. Every time that you consume a high-fat meal, you consume cheeseburgers, fries, milkshake, or cheeseburger, fries, Diet Coke, let's say, right? Millions of people had that last night, loaded with saturated fat. That saturated fat gets into the bloodstream pretty quickly. And guess what it does to the viscosity of your blood? Makes that viscosity go up. As that viscosity goes up, now your blood's got to push harder to get through your arteries. So it's actually raising your blood pressure. The food that you eat can raise your blood pressure. The saturated can raise the blood pressure by making your blood more viscous, making it thicker. That's just one method. Now, imagine your arteries start to clog. Imagine you got like a garden hose. You ever have the garden hose and you put your thumb at the end of it, make it shoot way across the room? Uh-huh. Because when you put your thumb there, now there's very little area for it to go through. So that one little area that it can get through, it shoots. Well, that's the same thing that happens when your arteries start to clog up. That atherosclerosis starts taking space away. So instead of your arteries having this much space, it starts clogging up. Now you've got this much space, this much space, this much space. Now you don't have much room. Mm-hmm. It's like putting your thumb at the end and it takes a lot of pressure to shoot. That's going to raise your blood pressure. But we know plant-based nutrition can reverse the atherosclerosis. So your artery can go from being clogged to unclogged. We can't guarantee that's going to happen to everybody, but we know with many people it can. That's just another mechanism of how the food that you eat can affect your blood pressure. By the way, pills aren't doing anything to change those things. The cause is the food. So I'm making more and more videos because I want to show people, I want to explain to people that the food is the cause of high cholesterol, of high blood pressure, and of type 2 diabetes. And if food is the cause, then the only way to treat the cause is with the food. Food is the cause, food is the cure. But we say food is the cause, forget the cause, let's just take a pill. So if you do that, then you are guaranteed that you're going to be on pills for the rest of your life because you haven't changed the cause. Yep. It's like I said, you may have seen this video that I made last week where imagine you go to your bathroom and you put the stopper in the sink and you turn the water on and the sink fills up and the sink overflows. Now there's water on the floor. And so imagine you come in your bathroom and there's water on the floor. Oh my God, the water keeps coming and coming. And the first thing you do is grab a mop and you start trying to mop it up. But water keeps coming. And then you want to get a better mop. And then you want to get a bigger mop. Then you want to get a dry vac. So that's just going after the symptoms. The main source of the problem is your water is running with the stopper in. Can we turn the water off? Well, the cause is the food. We got to turn the water off. And all our doctors want to do is give us more efficient mops in a wet vac. Yeah. It's not touching the cause. So I am trying to produce some videos. I am producing videos that will explain to the public the importance of treating the cause. Because if you don't treat the cause, you will continue to get sick and you'll never get better. You'll only get worse. You'll progress from one medication to needing 2 medications to needing 3. Maybe you're lucky and you only need 1. Maybe, don't know what'll happen to your body, but you'll never get better. That what will more than likely happen is you'll get worse. But when you treat the cause, and a lot of times, then you won't need the medication, no side effects. Your body's just good.
Yep. Well, and I love that. I mean, I love your passion. I tell you, that's one thing. I love, talk with people, get to know people with passion. There's obviously passion in what you're doing and telling people. And I love too, that you pointed out also on all of this is that you refuse to accept that old line of, well, it runs in your family, or quote, it's in your genes, etc. Whatever labels people want to say, you said, whatever. I believe there's, that's not the case. And I love that you brought that up, because that is, I've got one of my close friends that he and I've known each other for a long time, and it kills me, but he's one of those, that's his mentality, and I talked to him, he's like, look, he goes, well, this happened to my, my grandfather, my uncles, and this, and they all basically had heart attacks. And it's kind of like he's just, thought there is no quote option. There is no hope. I mean, and I just, that's one thing. It just, I hate to hear that. And I'm sure you've heard it. We hear it from other people sometimes in life. And I love that you brought that up, so people know, look, don't accept that.
Yeah.
Don't believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. Genes, your genetic predisposition is a small role over whether you're going to get a disease or not. Many people have genetic predispositions and they don't get the disease because genetic predispositions require some environmental trigger in order for you to get the disease. And in our case, that trigger is the food. So as long as you don't pull the trigger, you can have a loaded gun in your pocket forever and never fire it because you don't pull the trigger. And it's the same thing. You can have the genetic predisposition, but if you never pull the trigger, you never get it. Now, what I would tell your friend is, give me a challenge. Okay, it runs in your family. Yeah, it runs in your family. Give me 10 days. I don't know what he has. If he's got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, I don't know what he has. But I would say, man, okay, I get it. The odds are you're going to get it too because it ran in your family. Okay, I get that. But just give me 10 days and let's see what happens. Just give me 30 days with your life. If you don't like it, go back. You can always go back. But just give me 30 days or just give me 10 days. And let's just see what we can do with this food thing. And if it doesn't work, then you can go back to what you were doing. And I've never seen it not work.
Yep.
It works.
Well,
you just have to do it.
Well, I tell you what. Okay, so you've got a lot going on. I know after listening to this, people are going to have more information from you. I know also you work with people and all. So I want to give them that. How do people get in touch with you? What's the best way everybody can follow you, get in touch with you? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a book floating around out there that people can also get, that you've got for some knowledge as well. What are paths so I can put that in show notes, and also people listening can write down how to get in touch with you, follow you. And if they want to go on the course, I know you help people to engage you.
Yeah. So first, I will email you a link to a bunch of different things where you can put in the show notes on how people can work with me.
Gotcha.
First thing is Facebook is the social media that I'm on more than anything. I'm actually going through some training right now to learn how to build out a YouTube channel. I don't do that, but I'm learning to do that right now. So I don't have that yet, but that was coming in the near future. Facebook is the best way to find me on social media. I do have, if you are looking to lower your blood pressure, I do have a free book that I would love to give your audience. And they can get that at lowerbpnow.com. Lowerbpnow.com. And you can get my free book on how to lower your blood pressure with food. And if you want to learn a little bit more about my coaching program, then you can go to foodnotpills.com.
I like that.
Foodnotpills.com. And just put your information in there, and we'll be reaching out to you, and we'll set up a time where we can get together and work.
All right. Well, that is awesome. Well, look, I've loved it. I'm so glad Evan's put you and I in touch. Again, I love the passion. I love your knowledge. A lot of knowledge that I know that you shared. So thank you for that. Thank you for being gracious with your time. And I look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure, Mike. It's thank you for having me on your show. I'm happy to be a part of it. It was an honor to be your guest, and maybe we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'd love to. All right. Thanks. All right. Take care.
Take care, man.
Thank you.
Wow, what a story. Ton of knowledge information there. I mean, you gotta love it when your doctor says, hey, no way this is possible. Yeah, we need to retest you because obviously the testing, something was done wrong because you couldn't have improved this much. But no, he did. Plant-based did that. You know, it's a common thing. We've been saying it before. You know, you heard him talk about, in just a short amount of time, blood pressure dropping over 30 points, cholesterol 240 to 132 and losing 20 pounds. All that happening there. And, again, and then, of course, as you heard, he just dives into knowledge, and that's now what he's bringing to people. And so I hope a lot of you will go check out the video series that he's got. Again, we're going to throw it in the show notes. Follow him on Facebook. And, hey, like he said, go get that free book. Get the free book he's giving out to all the listeners. That is phenomenal. Vince, thank you so much again for doing that. Remember, everybody, it's lowerbpnow.com. Again, lowerbpnow.com. And then, like I said, check out his video series where, again, he's talking about the, viscosity of blood as one of the topics and, how we hear this all the time. He wants to make sure don't treat, just symptoms, stop the cause. And that is so important. And unfortunately, that's what, so much of our medical society still is built on nowadays. It's all about, oh, okay, you got all these things wrong with you. Well, here's some medicine to quote, just tie you over or, to kind of stave it off or something like that. Well, no, let's just stop it from happening in the first place. Or once it's already happened, find out the changes to make it not happen anymore. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening in. Again, please help us, again, do what a lot of people have been doing. I appreciate it. Spreading the message, forward this on. If you got some value out of this, please forward this on to others, post it on your Facebook page, LinkedIn, put it out there. Just help us again, spread the word, spread the knowledge, information, and inspiration about plant-based, all things plant-based. Email us, plantbasedtourguide@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Love the emails. Do my best to answer them as quick as I can. Sometimes get a little backlog, but do my best to answer them again as quick as I can and get back to you. Because again, I'm always looking for even ideas on people maybe, hey, I haven't met yet or haven't heard about that would be great, guests to bring on the show for you and for others. So please keep that in mind, do that. Hey, I also want to tell you guys something very exciting, and I'm so happy to be part of it. That is the Plant-Based Network. So what is a plant-based network? Some of you may say that I haven't heard about it yet. It's growing very fast, very, very fast. Imagine if we had a network on TV that was all plant-based all the time. Right? Just think, back in the day, your ESPN, but now let's take that concept and bring it over to plant-based, where that your shows and your advertisers, everything are plant-based focused. Well, somebody, my buddy, Ronnie Tsunami, thought about that, and he's put it together. It is the plantbasednetwork.com. Go there, and you can see where you can, look at stuff, all kinds of different shows, more and more shows adding by the day. So you got to go check that out as well. Again, it's plantbasednetwork.com. All right. Don't forget to check out Vince's stuff. We'll have, again, his information in the show notes. But again, the easiest one is lowerbpnow.com and get that free book. Take advantage of that. Get that free book. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for listening, for tuning in, and for helping spread the word. Much, much appreciation. And until next time, everybody, remember, live Pure Vita.